Hello and welcome to episode 81 of Knits and Stuff. My name is Alicia and today we'll be talking about finished objects, works in progress, pretty things, local delights, and wibbly wobbly timey wimey. But first, welcome to those of you that are new, and for those of you that are returning, thanks for coming back. If you haven't already, there's a group on Ravelry that you can join. It's called Knits and Stuff Podcast, and I'll put a link in the show notes, which are at knitsandstuffpodcast.com. Happy New Year, and thanks for all the comments on previous videos. I got a few on the finished a sweater video, so on YouTube. And so thank you guys for letting me know that there are people that watch, so that's always fun to see. But anyway, so let's jump right into finished objects. So first finished object that I have is a pair of socks that I was working on last time, and these are the Kick in the Pants socks by Lollipop Yarn. The yarn is also Lollipop Yarn and traditional in the colorway Smile. And I knit these on US 1s, 2.25 millimeter needles. I started with the Chaogu 9-inch circulars. And eventually switched over to my signature circular needles, just because the 9-inch ones were a little bit harder on my hands to knit comfortably because they have such small tips. So I wasn't working on these as much as I would have liked, and switching over to standard circular needles with like a 5-inch, I think I have a 5-inch tips were more comfortable, so I was able to work on these a lot. And then I think I did a twisted rib on the top, and then fish lips kiss heel? No, afterthought heel, that's right. And I did an afterthought heel for these, and I did not try and match up the colored stripes, so they are a little bit offset, so you can see you get a little bit of green at the end here, and then the colors at the top are a little bit off. I kind of wish that I had matched up the colors, or had them more offset so they weren't like just a little bit different. So but that's okay. I mean, they're still perfectly good socks, and I do like the pattern with those little scallops. Those are nice and fun. So yeah, it's a good pattern for self-striping yarn if you're looking for something a little bit more exciting than just the plain stripes, but still pretty straightforward, and doesn't really slow you down or anything, since it's just some slip stitches. So yeah, that's my pair of Kick in the Pants socks. And then my next finished object is something, if you follow me on Instagram, I posted these on or around Christmas, and these are my Christmas socks. They're out of Stranded Dye Works, merino and nylon in the colorway Zooming Home for Christmas, with some contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs in Christmas green. And these are toe-up socks with a fish lips kiss heel, and both Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off and Judy's magic cast on for the toes. And then that's all in my Ravelry notes too. But I wore these on Christmas Day, and they are quite soft and cozy, and they have now been washed and blocked. So I finished these Christmas morning, so just in time to wear for Christmas. So my next finished object is a Christmas gift for my mom, and my parents had asked for knitted hats for Christmas so they could go on walks while it's still cold out, to keep them warm. So I knit this hat for my mom. It's the Columbia Gorge hat by Kalura Hudson, and I knitted out of Cascade Yarns 220 Heathers in the colorway 9450. I don't know if this had a name. I think it was just a number. But it is kind of like a heathered green with, it's showing up a little bit warmer in this lighting. But yeah, it's a little bit kind of like a grayish green. And yeah, so this hat is a cabled hat, and the pattern is just one size, and I actually the one I'm showing you is not the one that is going to my mom, because this one is knit to the pattern and it is too small. I did not meet gauge, and I think I was actually like pretty far off. So I think the size of the needles that I used with this yarn like give a pretty good fabric, but I didn't check gauge until it was too late. So I actually decided to re-knit this and add an extra cable repeat. So I think it's an extra 16 stitches. And so hopefully that will fit a little bit better. The top part wasn't too bad, but right around here where there's a lot of larger cable crosses, that can get pretty tight. So you can kind of see that's where it's restricting the most. So even with aggressive blocking, it doesn't expand enough to fit. So yeah, so I think adding an extra repeat was fine though. And I also think I had to do like an extra row of decreases because of the extra stitches on the top, but otherwise I pretty much followed the pattern. And oh yeah, and these were on US 4s, US 5s, and US 8s. And the ribbing is mainly in the 5s, and then the 8 is the body. So the other hat that I knit for my dad is the 2x2 by Anne Gagnon, and it's also out of the same yarn, so they get matching hats. And it's the Cascade 220 Heathers in the same color. And that was knit on US 6s, and that is a free pattern. It's just a simple 2x2 rib, and it actually, I really liked it. It fits really well, because you can, I'll put pictures up here hopefully, but because you can just fold over the brim, you can kind of adjust it to however long you want, and it can cover your ears and is really nice and warm. So it's already with my dad and he says he likes it, so that's good. And so that's all I have for finished objects. That brings us to works in progress. So I haven't actually done too much knitting since all of the Christmas knitting, but I do have a couple of projects that I've done a little bit on. So the first one that I have is the Hemlock ring blanket, and by adapted by Jared Flood. And this is out of Cascade Yarns Eco Wool in the colorway Mocha. And I'm knitting it on US 10 6.0 millimeter needles. They're my Likey interchangeable needles. And yeah, it's just a big blob right now. So since it's a lace blanket essentially, it's gonna look a little lumpy until it's blocked. But yeah, hoping to work a little bit more on this now that I'm done with the Christmas knitting. It's pretty much my only big project right now, although I do want to start a sweater at some time soon, hopefully. Hoping to do, to make a Tecumseh. I think that's going to be my next one, my next sweater project, so we'll see. But more on that in Pretty Things, kind of. So that's the Hemlock ring blanket. And my other work in project is another pair of socks, because you can't have too many socks on or off the needles. And these are the Waiting for Henry socks by Tabitha Gandy. It's in the Hey Sister Yarn Company Geronimo sock in the Noir colorway kit. I think it's kit number 5. and the pattern is a colorwork pattern once you get to the heel, and then there's also contrasting, did I say heel? Once you get to the leg and the cuff, and then contrasting heels and toes. But right now it's just a little bit of a rib pattern, which you can kind of see on the top. So yeah, these are slowly coming along, and they are on US ones 2.25 millimeters, the Addy Flexi Flips, and I'm also knitting it toe up instead of top down, which the pattern's easily adaptable to change that, since it's mainly just the chart that you're following, and it's living in my Silver Shed sheep project bag. So that's all my works in progress, and that brings us to pretty things. So I have a few things to show. I thought I only had one at first, and then when I was writing up the show notes, I was like, oh, I actually have a lot since last time. So first on the list that we'll talk about is some Hedgehog Fibers. I purchased the Hedgehog Fibers Advent Calendar. If you haven't opened it by now, this would be spoilers if you also happen to have one. But there's basically a 24 mini skein set from Hedgehog Fibers, and set up in an advent calendar. So I opened one every day in December, from the 1st through the 24th, and I also tried to, for the most part, put it in my stories and Instagram, but I did skip some days and then had to do a little catch up. But yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, that's you might have seen these already, but otherwise, these are all of the mini skeins. I loved them. I don't know what I'm going to make with them yet. I was debating on either doing something with all of them, something really bright and colorful, or kind of picking and choosing different colors to add to smaller projects, or take a couple of mini skeins and then a larger full skein, and do kind of some sort of fun shawl or cowl, or I don't know, something. But they're so pretty, and some of the ones that I really liked, some favorites. This one was really pretty with some dark blues and a little bit of purple and yellow. I also really liked this. It's like this paler base, and then it's got some really bright neon like pinks and blues, and then black. And then also this one, which is similar, and then this one, which also has that like paler base, but then some contrasting colors. Yeah, so those were all really pretty. And then they also came with some stitch markers in the last box, the 24. It's a little bit bigger. So yeah, that is the advent calendar. Really excited about this. So I'm hoping next year to try maybe like a different advent calendar from another dyer. Hopefully not too many, because they will add up very quickly. But yeah, it was fun to see some of the other people I follow on Instagram, and they were opening their advent calendars too, and seeing all the different mini skeins that everyone had. They're so much fun. So I also picked up this mini skein set from Hedgehog Fibers. It's the Mini Fade Set 3. And it's this really nice fade that goes from kind of deep blues and burgundies to like a minty green, and over to like a neutral white. So this is really pretty. Thinking I could either make another Breeze Racerback with this, or maybe a shawl, because I would like to wear this out. It's really pretty. So yeah. And another stash enhancement is I got some Merino DK from Stranded Dye Works in the colorway Patisserie. And I got a number of these skeins because I'm hoping to make a sweater out of it. And I'm thinking about making the Tecumseh with this as the main color, and then going to have to pull from my stash for the other contrasting colors. Because I think I have a couple of things in DK that would work with this. So hopefully starting a new sweater project soon, but I will have to swatch for that and see how it goes. There is another, I had some Madeline Tosh yarn from a sweater club a while back, and I was going to use that too for the Tecumseh, but when I was swatching that with some of the contrasting colors, they were just kind of getting muddled together because of the colorway of the main color. So instead I'm gonna I had to get a new thing of sweater yarn, and hopefully this will work better with some of the options that I have. But yeah, that's some more stash. And then I picked up some Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick because I've been eyeing these colors for a while. Yeah, because I wanted to make another headband. It was a Not Quite a Blizzard headband in the wheat colorway, brioche one, and it was really warm. So so I picked up this this colorway in Hudson Bay, and hoping to make a headband out of that. And then I also grabbed this colorway, which is Spice Market, and I'm hoping to make, I have 2 skeins of this, and I'm hoping to make like a pillow for the couch, I guess, or for maybe background. So yeah, got 2 skeins of Woolies. And last on the pretty things is a Christmas gift from my friends Kathy and Kevin. And these are some embroidery kits. So this one, first one is a cross stitch kit. It's a TARDIS and a little Christmas themed cross stitch, and it's actually pretty tiny. So it's going to be really cute. I could probably just hang it on the tree now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so that's one. And the other one is this really nice plant embroidery, like hanging planter succulent embroidery kit. This one's a little bit bigger, as you can see, so that'll be nice to do. And I haven't done too many I guess non-cross stitch kits or embroidery and stitching. So this will be one of the, I don't know, like second regular embroidery that I've done, or once I start it. So yeah, that's another pretty thing, and looking forward to doing this and hanging it up somewhere in the house. So that's it for pretty things. Next is Local Delights. So yesterday we went on a hike, and this Local Delights is actually not about the hike, but afterwards we were planning to make some okonomiyaki. And if you're not familiar with okonomiyaki, it's a Japanese style like cabbage pancake with any kind of protein that you like. So since we wanted to make the okonomiyaki, we wanted to get the like okonomiyaki flour mix rather than making it from scratch, and some okonomiyaki sauce. So there is a Japanese market close to us in El Cerrito. It's called Yaoya-san, and they recently, well, not so recently anymore, expanded. I feel like I might have mentioned the market before. I forget if I featured it in Local Delights or not, but here we are. So yeah, so we got a bunch of the ingredients from the market and made okonomiyaki, and it was very tasty. It was so good. So it's this really great market. It's got everything you need that if you wanted to make any sort of Japanese foods, it's a good place to go to get all that. And it also has produce and kind of like this small market. So we sourced all our ingredients from there, and the pancakes turned out really well. So definitely recommend it if you're looking for any Japanese specialty ingredients, foods. You can go to Yaoya-san and pick something up. And it's also fun to just kind of like walk through and see what kind of treats you can find. Like they have really good rice crackers and some like Hokkaido caramels that were really tasty. Yeah, so if you're looking for a good small market and a nice small business to support, they're really great to go to. So they're in El Cerrito. So that is Local Delights, and that brings us to Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. And there was a new episode of Doctor Who. I don't remember. Oh, I think I talked about Doctor Who a few episodes ago. But I haven't really been talking about it too much. So if you haven't watched before, if you haven't watched too many episodes of this podcast, I am a Doctor Who fan. And it seems a little bit more sporadic these days with the spacing of the seasons, and then I'm sure the pandemic impacting the filming, and there's not as many episodes each season, and they're spread further apart. So but there was a New Year's special this year, and it was called Revolution of the Daleks. So I did watch it a few days after it premiered. I was going to watch on New Year's Day, but I think I either forgot about it or we didn't have a way to watch it immediately. But we actually have YouTube TV now, which comes with BBC America, it's included in the one that we have. And so I was able to record the rerun of the repeat broadcast of the New Year's special and watch it on there, and then I could fast forward through the commercials, so that was really nice. But yeah, so it was a good, I think there were parts that I liked. I kind of miss, I guess, the Christmas theme to the specials, because they used to be on Christmas Day, and now they've shifted over to New Year's, and it does seem like it was kind of like a standalone episode, which the specials usually are, except there were some things that had tied into the previous season that I kind of forgot about. And I was like, wait, how did they get here? And they didn't explain why the Doctor was in jail initially, or in prison. They didn't explain why the Doctor was in prison initially, and I forgot that she had run into the Jadoon in the previous season, and they were arresting her, so yeah. But Captain Jack showed up again, and I that's always fun to see him. And it would have been nice to see a little bit more, actually, I mean, if they had more time with Captain Jack and the Doctor, and maybe more in the prison that they were in, that would have been kind of fun to see. And I think also because the companions this time around, I don't feel as attached to them as previous years, and I don't know if that's because I'm thinking about it more while I'm watching it versus reminiscing on older companions. Then in the moment they don't feel as special, maybe. But yeah, I'm a little less interested in their storyline or when they're involved, as opposed to the Doctor, or a repeat character like Captain Jack coming back. So yeah, which is also why I was not as sad when Ryan and Graham decided not to continue traveling with the Doctor, and then Yaz did, but she was also still kind of conflicted about it, it seemed. But they were all kind of upset with the Doctor because she was 10 months late, and I kind of feel like that was, I don't know. I don't know if there was some sort of expectations that I mean, I guess as a companion you would kind of expect to see the Doctor pretty often if you're the official companion, I guess. But it seemed like they were really mad at her for being 10 months late, even though it was kind of hard for her to control that, because we know that the TARDIS doesn't reliably travel to when and where you want to go. But anyway, otherwise it was an enjoyable show, and the whole Daleks and using the Daleks was as protection was a little bit very on the nose for current events, I guess. So yeah, it was kind of interesting to see them weave that into, weave the Dalek story into current events. but then also adding like the cloning to it, and then of course like something's gonna go wrong if you try and use the Daleks for good. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting storyline. But oh, and then also seeing the like non-mutated Daleks, like the regular Daleks, going after these mutated clone Daleks was kind of like, I mean, yeah, it was kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say fun, but it was like cool to see that, like, of course they would want to get rid of their like impurities, in these clone Daleks, because they're not like true Daleks. So anyway, so yeah, it was like overall I liked it, but I think I do miss like the older Christmas specials, and the ones that are a little bit I don't know, more jolly, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so that is my take on the Revolution of the Daleks New Year's special. Hopefully we'll get to see the new season. I think it comes out later this year, but I think it's shorter, and there's rumors that it might be Jodie Whittaker's last season. It'll be sad to see her go. I feel like she hasn't been around enough as the Doctor. It'll be interesting to see how the end of last season kind of ties into this next season, because of this whole reveal that they did with the Doctor's background and being like this created being. And then with this season they're going to have a new companion, so we'll see how he does, I guess, with Yaz, and when they bring him in. Yeah, too bad Captain Jack's not like more gonna be like more permanent in the show. I would love to see that. But anyway, so that's all I have for Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey. And I think that's all. Yeah, that's all there is for today's episode. So social media stuff, I'm Elion, and it's on Ravelry, on Perfect529, on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, everywhere else, I guess. You can find show notes at knitsandstuffpodcast.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can see show notes down below in the description. And I hope everyone has a happy new year, happy 2021, stay safe. And I will see you probably in about a month or so. I'm thinking of keeping that monthly schedule, given minus the holidays and the delay. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you in a month, and thank you for watching. Bye.